Afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Do Nothing project for Wednesday, July 15th. Good to see everybody. Yeah, I can see everyone kind of logging in. I see Andrew and Lily are there. Hey, guys. Peter, Candace, Lauren, Joseph, Aldo, Jeff McPhee, Holly, Maria, all the people, Candace. Sorry if I'm forgetting your name. I'm not scrolling all the way up. Landon. Anyway, very good to be here. I'm actually in the empty apartment downstairs from our apartment. Eden, he's upstairs, and they haven't rented out this lower unit yet, so I thought I'd set up here. It's a little quieter. So if you've never been to the Do Nothing project before, very important to keep your expectations low. We don't really do anything. I guess the way I think about this is it's sort of like we're stripping down to the factory settings. We have this all day long, especially now in the middle of the day, all day long we're in our kind of momentum of all the things we got to do, all the things we're worried about, legitimate worries in the world, all our patterns of worrying and thinking and doing and action and rumination. And this is an opportunity to kind of let that go, insofar as it's let goable. Of course, that's the art, isn't it? And the challenge, it's always still a little bit with us. But I guess the ideal or the pretense is that we're letting it go so we can come back and reset in the kind of baseline quietness or unactivatedness of the nervous system, just kind of plunge down into that a little bit. And doing that can actually help us feel quite resourced to go back into action mode after. That's a long way to talk about doing nothing. So yeah, and I guess I usually do this on Sundays and sometimes on Wednesdays, but I also really like the idea of having guest hosts, just so you can get, first of all, to demystify this whole thing, because the essence of just holding space for people and guiding a simple meditation is pretty straightforward, and we should all feel like we should all have a little bit of fluency in how that works. So we get different guides come up with different levels of experience. It's not about being the perfect teacher, but just being able to connect to each other in this way. And then also it's interesting hearing how different people might frame a guidance, and the chat area here I think is important because it's not really so much about top down asking questions and there's sort of this top down answer. It's more like sharing reports. Hey, this is what I noticed, and then someone else might say, hey, this is what I noticed. And I like that idea that the chat area is more this informal place where we can be, with the community as the teacher, where we can kind of offer support for each other, and context and insight and share challenges, and that's what it is. Yeah, so Lily wanted me to say a bunch of that stuff. So I don't know if that worked out or not. But anyway, I'd like to guide a meditation. And I was thinking for the meditation today, let's use this theme of stripping down to the factory settings. Kind of imagine, we'll do this sort of almost an imaginative exercise, like you're just born in the world, and you haven't downloaded any apps, you haven't had to memorize any passwords, you don't have anything in your inbox. It's just this empty vessel. Of course, it has its preconditioning and all the rest of that, whatever the genes are, but you're just right here. You're in this sort of fresh awareness. And we'll just say you're a particularly well-regulated little baby. You're just sort of in this state of kind of wonder, of openness, and you're experiencing things, sounds, feelings, but you don't really have a big opinion on them. You're just kind of in the experience. And that's sort of, in a way, that's what meditation is trying to move us towards. It's trying to move us back to a kind of beginner mind, an original mind. Before we got all co-opted by all our patterns, there is still a place of fundamental awareness and spaciousness that we can relate to the world. I mean, that's one of the things it shows us. So let's do a little practice around that. And we'll see if that's true for you. And if it's not, no big deal. if you like, you don't even have to meditate. You can just do what I do sometimes and stare out the window, or you can doodle, and you can just sit and be, because it's a good reset. So let's do it. Let's see. 12:36, 25 minutes, so we'll finish just after 1 o'clock. All right, so our midday meditation break. So if you have your go-to you like to do, of course, you're welcome to do that. You can just follow along with my guidance if you feel like it. We'll start with a few deep breaths. Stretching up on the inhale, kind of finding some energy, alertness, a bit of poise. On the exhale, that's the downward motion. So softening the shoulders and the hands. You can actually be systematic here. You can do kind of a little mini body scan where you start at your forehead and you soften the forehead and soften the cheeks and jaw. And you can use the exhale as the kind of to ride that momentum. And then there's this equanimity piece right here at the start, which is both, it's a way of both holding ourselves and it's a kind of attitude. An attitude of not needing things to be perfect, not being the kind of person who's going to get super uptight if there are imperfections in your environment, sounds that you wish weren't there or feelings that you wish weren't there. We're realists. The equanimity is the realism principle. It's just saying, oh yeah, this stuff is already here. Can I not fight with it? Can I let it be there? And it actually translates to a sort of relaxation in the body. So its opposite would be kind of braced against sounds or braced against trying not to feel something. And instead, you just sort of soften through the front of the body. And right there, that's basically meditation 101. I mean, you can just hang out right here. The just being. And this is the original factory settings. Just being and sort of enjoying your own company and company of this larger community. And you can give that a bit of structure, a bit of rigor if you like, by lightly paying attention to an object. That can be helpful. So instead of just being totally wide open, you're wide open and you're kind of paying attention to the feeling of the breath or the sound of the air conditioner or vent or traffic, whatever you want to choose, but in a light way. Kind of like, oh yeah, and just lightly paying attention to this thing and enjoying this opportunity to take a break. Good. So it helps to be patient here at the beginning, because sometimes it takes a little bit of time to get settled, and sometimes we don't settle at all. So we have this patience with the process, this sort of easygoingness about it. You can always kind of come back to that orientation. And if we get distracted, if you're off in a thought, a daydream, you can just come back to the now, this moment, this body, this breath, this being here, and just rest in that. And then get distracted again, come back and not get too worried about that, because that is the movement of meditation. It's the natural ebb and flow of attention. Good. And just settling and sinking in to the being. Of course, although the body still contains, the body and mind contains all our quote settings, all those patterns and feelings. It has a history, it has conditioning. What's interesting becomes apparent through practice is none of that is in awareness itself. That awareness, place from which we're looking, it has a kind of freshness and emptiness and simplicity that we can sort of tune into. And sometimes we tune into it backwards through the feeling of being aware. Sometimes we tune into it almost as a stillness that comes up sort of around us and through us. Quietness, an ease, a simplicity. And it's very uncomplicated. Just this simple being aware, being present, presence. That's something we can explore tuning into a bit. And if that resonates with you, if not, not to worry, it kind of comes up anyway, in its own way. One thing about that, though, is you don't want to get into a pattern of seeking or looking or trying to grab something. It's much more of a kind of just surrender back into your experience, letting things happen and letting even these insights and experiences come to you at their own timeline. The more we can be just patient and let go of our expectations. Just being. It's already here. So easy for the mind to start moving into some subtle doing, some subtle thing it's trying to work out or go somewhere. Really see if you can sink into for the last few minutes. Truly, the do nothing spirit. Really, just be there. Let yourself just let go of any intention to control anything. See if you can just kind of enjoy the simple feeling of being a body in your time zone, wherever that is. Nothing to do, nowhere to go, nowhere to be in this moment. Okay, good. So over the last few minutes, if you like, it can be nice to finish the meditation with a deliberate refreshment of some sense of appreciation or kindness or friendliness, whatever your flavor. And it's so simple. I mean, stoking this doesn't have to be anything complicated. Sometimes all I do is I just picture a little kid playing or something. You picture something, someone's face that makes you smile, or some scene. That's more, you're just flavoring consciousness with this little bit of this appreciative quality. And you can turn it into a kind of loving kindness practice if you like, just different people come to mind, you repeat a phrase like, may you be happy, may you be safe, may you know peace, whatever words work for you. I mean, you might want different things for different people, but just that general sense of like, just may you be well. May you be well. And maybe there's a wider appreciation that we can find, like even in these intense times, this appreciation for breathing, for the oxygen, for the trees, for nature, having this moment, kind of this time out of time. It's like practicing finding a kind of appreciative ease in the space, even amidst the madness. And a bit of sense of humor can help. Kind of like that Mona Lisa smile at the lips. Like you kind of, doesn't have to be ostentatious, just this sense of appreciating things as they are right now. People in your life, the birds and the trees and the kids and the grandpas and all the rest of it.
One p.m.
Well, that was a whole bunch of nothing. Good to see with you guys. My phone did the weirdest thing it's never done before. It said 1 p.m. talking about factory settings. I downloaded this clock app. Well, so it goes. Hmm. 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Whatever time it is for you guys, good to hang out. Yeah. I mean, what is there to say, really? It's particularly powerful doing these in the middle of the day. It's true. So Jennifer saying, kind of take that little break before you go back into the craziness. Has a different feel. So just see if we can hold on to that, a little bit of that reset vibe, that, sense of kind of being present. That's about it. Okay, got a question here. Harrison saying, had bad asthma, constantly short of breath, find it distracting to focus on the breath. Any advice? Yeah, I mean, feel free anybody to tune in, but that's pretty straightforward. I mean, that's common actually. So just don't work on the breath. Just leave the breath. Don't think about it. Don't let it psych you out. Pay attention to something else. If you like the structure of paying attention to something, you can just pay attention. I like to often I kind of settle my attention in the feeling of the whole body, just sitting, the sense of the posture, and that can be a really nice thing to drop into. So that, or the hands, anything, sounds. I mean, if you ever have a problem with the breath, just let it be in the background. I mean, we get kind of tangled up sometimes in the breath. So that's a normal thing. So yeah, hopefully that helps. And anyone else, I see there's other people dropping in with what they do. Catherine saying she refreshed, reset a little too well, dozed off. Sometimes that's what we need. Jennifer saying gets a little more distracted when she meditates during the day and when in the evening. Yeah, me too, because it's like we're coming from a place of more energy often. So, I mean, it depends on people, but sometimes it's harder to kind of like turn off the doing, when it's all good. Yeah, John saying he focuses on the feeling of the hands. Yeah, nice. How can I avoid getting sleepy and doze? Achez asking while meditating. Well, sometimes that's just what happens because we're tired and our tiredness catches up to us, and it just happens if there's for a while when I first started meditating, I would often doze off and I just was so freaking tired. But there are things you can do, like meditate with your eyes open, on an open kind of or half open, looking at the ground in front of you, or you can stand up when you meditate. You can deliberately take in oxygenating breaths. That can help. Most important thing is not to beat yourself up about it. It might just be a phase. Someone saying, Agatha saying, what about focusing on something we see? Absolutely. So eyes open is, I don't often do them. Actually, I was just writing a practice about eyes open, but you can of course use external objects as a practice meditation. That's when people meditate on a candle flame or on a tree, or it's nice meditating on the leaves in a tree, the kind of shimmeriness. Those are all legit. So you can absolutely do eyes open practice. The problem with eyes open, or the challenge, is we're used to having our eyes open and then zoning out, kind of being in the world and kind of being off in our thinking. So that pattern can reproduce itself a lot, just like it can reproduce itself with our eyes closed. So you really want to be, if you're doing eyes open, really make sure you're staying present with the visual object. And it's amazing how quickly you'll notice you kind of tune it out. So you just kind of come back in every time you see. It's like a new act of seeing, and just make the gaze soft. So you're not like, just kind of, but that's a good way to work too if you're into it. I mean, all these things are fine. Oh boy, lots of questions today. And by the way, anyone can share their thoughts too. I'm just giving you what I do, but the whole community is a resource here. I'll answer one more here or comment on one more, and other people can comment on it too. So Kelly saying, how do I work past being frustrated with yourself for not doing it right? I've been trapped in a cycle of self-judgment. Yeah, I mean, this is the classic thing, right? We bring into meditation the same judgments that we bring to everything else we do. Oh, I didn't do that conversation right, or I could have done this better. And if you're a critical person, which I am, then you end up just bringing that criticism to the meditation. So I guess I'd say a couple of things. One is, and I'd be curious what other people say, because I think it's a very common thing, but one is, if you're just sitting and existing, you're already doing it right. You can't do it wrong. Meditation isn't always restful. Sometimes we sit and we're agitated, but you know what? It's still working its magic, because we have an intention at least to just settle and be. And that intention kind of goes in deep, and you're practicing being a little bit more concentrated, a little bit more clear, a little bit more open. Then you lose it and you practice it again, and that's the training. So it's already working. There's no such thing in that sense of really doing it wrong. That's kind of the most important thing. And then just giving yourself a break, knowing that sometimes it's easier, sometimes it's harder. And just noticing that critical voice that goes, oh, you got to do it this way, you got to do it this way. And just kind of, when I hear that voice, I go, oh, hey, what's up? It's like, I know maybe it's not politically correct anymore, but the Swedish Chef from the Muppets, do you guys ever watch that? The Swedish Chef is like kind of speaking these nonsense words. I just sort of imagine my inner critic as like the Swedish Chef. I think I even talked about that at some point, but I don't know. Those are some thoughts, and I see some other people have tuned in with some thoughts there. So, yeah, giving yourself compassion, loving kindness, all good. So many ways. Yeah, see Lauren saying, as long as you're doing it at all, you're doing it right. All right, amigos, I gotta go. Good to hang out. I will be here next Wednesday as well, and this Sunday. So I'm going to do Sunday, Wednesday, and then I think the next Sunday might have somebody else doing it. I'm going to be away then. But very good to hang out with you midday. I hope you have an unproductive day. I was really unproductive, and you're totally cool with the unproductivity of it. And then you can have a productive time some other time. Oh, nice from France. All right. Thank you, Lily, and thank you, Andrew. Much appreciation for your excellence moderation as usual. Thank you, Milan, too. Bye.